For those of us who are oppressed by systematic racism, what is there any level of success that we can reach? I think it's a phenomenal question because here's what happens. Many of us focus on the distractions, right? We focus on the fact that racism does, in fact, still live here in the United States of America. We focus on the fact that it's sprinkled throughout our media, that the American doctrine of black inferiority is alive and well in the media, not just in the media, but all around us, right? So we focus on that, and that becomes a distraction. For any person of color, this is part of the reason I'm having the conversation. And this is why I had the identity series a few weeks ago. For any person of color, this conversation is probably one of the most necessary conversations that we need to be in. What does success look like for you, right? Because it's very easy to become distracted by all of the resistance around us. And what happens is we begin to focus on what we don't have versus focusing on what we do have. And this is one of the reasons why I put the trip to Africa together. By the way, there's 2 seats left. I thought there was 1 seat left. There are 2 seats left. Last week there were 3. So 2 seats left. And if you're interested in going with us on the transformational tour to Africa, go to murdermediocrity.com for more information. I'm not going to go through all the things that you get with it. But when I tell you that the trip is transformational, it's a phenomenal deal. And you not only walk away transformed, but a very clear identity, very clear on who you are. That is the purpose and the outcome of that trip, that transformational tour to Ghana. All right. But what I was saying is what happens for those of us who are oppressed by this system, right? This systematic racism. We tend to focus on the distractions or the system itself versus what we individually can bring. And one of the things that I talk about, I don't know if it's in this talk, but actually in another talk, and I'm actually going to go there real quick, is how many African Americans have overcome this system, right? And that's one of the things that we don't talk about. We talk about, well, it's time to get reparations. It's time, like, we need all this help, right? But what we don't talk about is how other people overcame it without the help. Now, is it in some places where some of us absolutely 100% need support? Yes. I'm there. I get it, right? Where this notion of some type of economic support would be helpful. Absolutely. However, many of us, it really does come down to a different level of focus, a different level of really challenging ourselves to take ourselves to the next level, and stop focusing in on the distractions and rather focus in on what success looks like for me. I give this talk, and the title of the talk is "Success Has No Color, Our Thoughts Do." And I've given this talk at different universities to young people, actually a very diverse group of young people. And one of the examples I use to really drive it home is this notion of people like Frederick Douglass, Harriet Tubman, Muhammad Ali, who were born into very meager circumstances, right? Muhammad Ali, we can call it meager circumstances. Frederick Douglass is born a slave. Let's be clear. He was born a slave. And he achieved what seems like the impossible by doing exactly what I'm talking about here, right? Identifying what success looks like and then going after it with everything in his soul. And he achieved what feels impossible, but he did it by taking action. He did it by taking action. He was born into slavery in 1818. He taught himself how to read. I mean, this man taught himself how to read. He learned the alphabet and how the alphabet sounded from a slave master's wife, and then took that to the next level, taught himself how to read, gave up his lunch money and his food to get a book. It's called The Columbian Orator. I have it at home. So it's a book, a collection of the most famous speeches of the 17 and 1800s. And then he memorized the book because he was afraid that somebody would steal it from him. And so to ensure that that knowledge that he had given up food for, didn't get taken from him, he committed it to memory. The whole book, The Columbian Orator, which was one of the reasons why he became such a powerful orator himself and the abolitionist and author that he was. That's one example, right? Harriet Tubman already said it, that I could have freed 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 more slaves if they realized they were in slavery, right? Some of us, we still don't realize that we have the power, that we have the choice. Everybody got upset when Kanye said slaves had a choice. They got mad. They got real triggered. But even today, we have a choice. Many of us aren't making it. You might say, well, Linal, you don't understand my circumstance. You don't understand all the things that I'm going through. You weren't born into slavery. That much we know. Now, you might be born in some very bad circumstances. I'll acknowledge that. But there is the possibility for us to take ourselves to the next level, whatever that looks like for you, right? And then once you get there, climbing to the next level versus succumbing to the circumstance. So phenomenal question. I'll give you two more examples right here in the 21st century. Maya Angelou, who we lost not too long ago, and Oprah Winfrey, both born into horrible circumstances. Maya Angelou, molested as a young girl, went mute as a result of telling what happened because they went and killed the man. And then she stopped speaking because she realized the power of her voice. And then later, her words still give us life, right? And her beginning was less than desirable. By the way, Maya Angelou attributes the full transformation of her life, right? Because she went from, when she did begin speaking again as a teenager, she went from that to a life of entertainment. She was a female entertainer, dancer, singer for quite some time. What transformed her into the woman that we all experienced was a trip to Africa, a trip to Ghana. Y'all think I'm playing about this trip? Like if you're looking for next level transformation, I was telling my colleague last night, the coach that I was having dinner with, I said, I've never seen anything like it before. People transform. As a coach, helping people with transformation, I've never seen people transform so quickly as a result of an experience, right? And that's what happens in Africa. And I believe it happens for a lot of reasons. But our very own Maya Angelou transformed over there and became the woman that we know her to be after having been to the continent, to the motherland. There's a spiritual quality there. It's home for a lot of us. Oprah Winfrey, again, was molested as a young girl, and overcame that. And then, as an anchor woman, was told she wasn't good enough and fired. And overcame that and became the media behemoth that she is now. So those are African Americans who, in this system, experienced a great level of success. So we have to stop allowing ourselves to be victimized, and we have to stop waiting. Now, is reparations something that we deserve as people, as African American people that built this nation and were brutalized? I mean, horribly brutalized during that period, and still in some ways underprivileged systematically in this country. Do we deserve it? Absolutely. Am I going to sit around and talk about it or wait for it? No. What I will do is take some action. Hey, I'll take action towards getting the reparations. And while I'm taking action towards that, I'm also going to be doing my work. I'm also going to be taking myself to the next level. And I believe I said it, I don't know if I said it last week or when we talked about purpose, but I also will say that that's not our first concern. Our first concern is purpose and identity. Do you know your purpose on the planet? And are you completely aligned with who you are? Because if you're not, you can get an economic influx, right? You can get paid out reparations and you'll find yourself right back in the same situation that you were in. Because your heart, your mind, your soul hasn't been transformed. So, I mean, hey, you give a sick individual a lot of money, they're just now a sick individual with money. And a lot of us are sick. A lot of us have gone through a great deal of trauma. And we don't even know that we're sick. And we need healing. And that's a lot of the work that I'm doing. That's what it's about.